Good morning, everybody. It is just me this morning. We have Justice taking a little bit of a day off, but I didn't think that I wanted to leave you hanging. So I figured I'd just hop on this morning, say good morning to everybody, and probably recount just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get my technology to work, but just recount a little bit of my weekend. And, we should probably still do this by starting out with a video because, I'm going to need to just make sure that I'm doing things right here and that my technology is all set up. So I think we're going to start off with a little bit of Border Patrol. Love this band, love this song. And just before COVID, we were supposed to be doing some work with them and everything kind of got canceled. So here's a little bit of nostalgia for you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I know the devil's real. He's sitting at my table, his hands have touched my meal. He rummaged through my dresser and he's looking for a sign, but I can't tell you what it is he's hoping he will find. Saw him making coffee, I saw him feed my cat. I sometimes think his actions are more subtle than that. He's at the bar drinking and I guess it serves me well, 'cause every drink's another minute I am not in hell. He's sleeping in my room. He pays my family visits. My friends all know him too. He's on my couch, just smoking. Here's the pipe I saw him use. And if I try to outrun him, he knows my every move. Got me a friend that he knows how to like. A friend through the darkness, a friend for the night. Got me a friend that he knows how to use me. I think I'm gonna let him till he finally consumes me. He's telling me there's no point in getting out of bed. He's the smoke, he's the liquor, he's playing with my head. It's clear he's gonna get me, but what's really hard to see is the one I call the devil. He ain't nobody but me. Got me a friend and he knows what to like. A friend for the darkness, a friend for the night. Got me a friend that he knows how to use me. I think I'm gonna let him. I'm probably gonna let him. I know I'm gonna let him. I want him to consume me. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah.
It'll be nice when we can actually go and see live bands again. Actually, in a bar. Shouldn't say that we can't see them. I saw Mr. John David at the Fog this weekend, sharing a little bit of live singing and a cigarette just outside of the little roped off area. Must be a whole new thing to go to a bar now and go and sing and have a smoke. So I guess there's some live music. I shouldn't have said that. So go and check that out. It's at Fog, downtown, Poutine. This is where Justice kind of helps me out. And, when I'm stumbling on my words or I'm not sure exactly where I'm going, I had a whole other person, but now it's just me. So I figure I was just going to get on and mention a little bit of what we did this weekend. Taryn and I decided we were going to plan a little bit of a road trip, single day road trip, 1 tank of gas, round trip, that type of thing. And we planned a few kind of ghost towns around the area. And we had a few people really interested in what we were doing. So let's see if I can just kind of pull this up for us. This was the loop that we took. We started out earlier in the morning, and we kind of made it around southwestern Ontario. We started off, obviously, at home down here, and then our first stop was up near Duncliffe. This little loop took us about, 6 hours of driving. I think about eight and a half hours in total. We went Duncliffe to Lucan, Metropolitan to Kiva, Leary, over to Strathroy, and then we kind of made a little bit of a detour here, and we hit Alvinston, and we picked up some corn, and we hit Napier, or maybe Alvinston was after that. I got confused. We made a lot of stops, and then our final stop was in Don Mills. So these are ghost towns in our area that have been essentially abandoned for quite a while, and the reasons they were abandoned has a whole lot to do with, I guess, the economy and the railroads coming in. My kids are really, really interested in ghost stories, haunted houses, and the coolest part was, I think it was in Duncliffe, where we were able to kind of see an old mill house. The mill is, the house has been derelict for quite a long time, so it was a pretty cool place to go and hang out. And then right after Duncliffe, we kind of ended up into this pretty cool little area. So let's see if I can kind of pop this up here and show you what we had. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but just outside of Duncliffe were these pretty cool little headstones that were all placed into a larger monument. And the kids were this is the first time the kids took any sort of rubbings. So we set them up with a ton of paper and a whole bunch of crayons, and we went around and took some rubbings of, the girls were first interested mostly in the texture of things, but then they started to try and find the oldest headstones. After that, we made a pretty cool stop up in Lucan. And Lucan is an area where we have a whole lot of crazy history. And the thing is I've heard about the story. Taryn's watched a whole lot of true crime podcasts, and there was even a couple TV shows and documentaries about the Donnellys. Pretty crazy story that happened up in Lucan. A whole family gets wiped out by a mob. Obviously, townspeople weren't too happy with them. And as you kind of go farther in the backstory, there's a whole lot of stuff that led up to it. But the craziest thing about this is it's probably an early example of the abuse of power, and the way that one person in the community that ran a peace group led this mob over to the house and basically killed off a whole family. Nobody was ever charged with the murders. It was pretty crazy. Nothing was ever really found out, but there was a neighborhood boy or a neighbor boy that was there, watched the murders. So it's a pretty crazy story. Taryn and I watched a great YouTube documentary, so if you want to go down that road, check that out. So we gave them a little tour. This is fun, eh? This is the Donnelly house. And this is Taryn getting all our kids in front of the placard at the Donnelly's house in Lucan. So we headed up to Metropolitan. Geez, I can't get it right now today. The funny thing is that screwed us up the whole day. But let's see if we can. I can't bring back my screen for some odd reason. But Metropolitan is the farthest point up. It's by Kirkton. It's about a 40-minute drive outside of London. But here's the next shot of this. Let's see if I could just pull this up in full for you. And that's Metropolitan. So there was not a whole lot to see in some of the towns that we went to. But man, look at that sky shot. So after that, we hit a few different places, but the most important was after we hit the Donnelly house, we had to stop at the Black Donnelly's, or the Donnelly Brewing Company. Picked up a 6-pack of beer. It was really nice to kind of shop super local, even when you're out of town. Really good beer, by the way. So if you're up that way, check out Donnelly Brewing Company. They have nice mixed 6-packs for you, so you can pick up their dark, their lager. We had the IPA, which wasn't bad, and we skipped out on I think the wheat. But man, did I love that dark ale. That was really nice. And I was not drinking and driving. I totally waited until I got home to drink my beers. So let's see, after that, we found a plant sale. No matter where Taryn goes, she's got to find some plants or something. I mean, that kind of takes up a lot of our a lot of our time in real life. And even when we're traveling, this was up by a town called Kiva, way kind of, I guess it's right near Grand Bend. But we saw a sign for a plant sale, so we had to go to the plant sale. And then the other great thing was that my kids found a nice little pet to hang out with for a few minutes. So the family had these huge dogs. Kids were able to get out of the car and waste a little bit of energy. And then there's the good old town of Kiva. After Kiva, the kids were pretty hungry. So we decided we would try and find a place to eat. And just before we found a place to go and eat, which I think we stopped at Alvinston, we found this really amazing old church and graveyard in Mount Carmel. And the kids really enjoyed. We hung out there for a little bit. They had some snacks. There was a bit more of the, there we go, a bit more headstone rubbings. And then, that's right, we stopped in Alicia Craig. This is a pretty cute little town. At Lions Park, there was 0 people out there. It was awesome. Not a lot of people, ton of moths, ton of bugs. But we hung out for a little while and, rested our legs and had a great little lunch. And best part about it was we ended up in South Park. It's kind of funny when you come across, these cool little places with signs you just didn't expect. And then we ended up in this little town called Napier. Napier was a military town, I guess, that started up, and they started kind of a bit of a training area, and there were a few houses in there. We went to the kind of major corners at Napier, which really wasn't much at all. But then as we kind of turned a corner, after we thought there was nothing, we found this super cool old general store. Again, these places, if you're taking a drive, each of the counties have these heritage sites, and they usually have a little heritage tour that you can take online. So you can find these little things and you can actually, connect the dots out of some of these as well. But this general store had a really nice history to it. So it was really cool to kind of come across that. And I actually think I took my big camera out for some pictures on that. And then here we are.
What'd you get there? I got some corn!
Best corn ever. Honestly, it's the first corn that we've had this year, fresh off the farm. It was awesome. We had it for 2 nights. The Ghost Town tour was a pretty big success. We ended up back in kind of Don Mills after that. Oh no, we even stopped at Oil Springs to see the first North American commercial oil pump, which was closed, and it really wasn't all that exciting for the girls, but they did have to get out and take a picture by the signs, which is great. I mean, they spent almost 6 hours in the car, and without any huge arguments, mishaps, nobody ended up having to hitchhike home. We had a pretty good time. So, I can't express enough, during this time, trying to get out and trying to go and do something that isn't just sitting in your house or watching some movies or Netflix, or even, going to another place that's really packed, headed up to things like Rondo, or going out to, I know even Point Pelee can get a little bit busy, but it was really nice to take these tours, be on a ghost town tour. you knew there was going to be, or we knew there was going to be hardly anyone around. I think we encountered 2 people that worked at the Donnelly Brewing Company, a small family that worked at the corn place in Alvinston, and I think one general store along the way, so we could stop and pee. But other than that, we didn't really see people. It was a great day all by ourselves, driving around Ontario into places. You know, if you weren't like me, I grew up in Wheatley. I was a hockey player until I was about 15 years old. So we dotted around these little tiny towns in Ontario, and you know, there's some pretty cool places. It's really neat and scenic. And if you haven't been around our little area, I mean, it's only a tank of gas. You don't always have to head towards, you know, Toronto or the Niagara Falls area, or literally even have that destination of being Grand Bend. Just getting out, set yourself a little map, take a tank of gas, and go and see what's out there. One thing that was really nice is after we came home, the girls literally could not get enough of old cemeteries, so we mentioned to them that there's a couple of old cemeteries around us. So we went over to the one at Howard and Ottawa, which is the one we usually ride through, and the girls took a couple more rubbings. And this evening we're gonna head over to it's Queen Mary's Gate, which is over here just in Willisted, and take the girls on a little bit of a tour of some of the older graveyards here. And then also, through a little bit of research, we found that there are some super old graveyards, some of them out kind of in farmland. We're going to do a little bit more research, and we're going to head out to these farms, which were some of the cemeteries of slaves that were kind of our first settlers in the area. And it's a pretty opportune time to take that with Emancipation Day coming up, and even trying to give the kids a little bit more of a history lesson of, you know, why our area is so important. And that kind of brings up the project that Irene Moore Davis, who is one of our guests, one of the projects she's working on, which is a lot more of the history in our area, the Black history, and everything that's kind of gone on. So that really was an amazing Saturday, which kind of set Sunday up for a pretty nice, relaxing Sunday. My parents stopped by, which was really nice. We don't get to see them as much now as we used to. And I'm hoping that we all kind of get a little bit better through this, that we stay healthy, and that this stuff kind of moves beyond us. It's nice to see my kids being able to hug their grandparents again. Nice being able to hug my parents. So that was kind of what we did on Sunday. It was a little bit of a relaxing Sunday. And without Justice being here, I'm just going to share that she was out with some of her derby friends, and they were out at the ice rink, which is not ice, obviously, now, but I can't remember the name of the park right downtown there. And they were out roller skating and having a good time. So, half of Pretty in the Algorithm took a big loop up, spent 6 hours in a van, and the other one spent some time rolling around our community. Listen, this is 18 minutes, 20 minutes of me just gabbing to you. Tomorrow, we hope to have another guest on. I hope that Justice is back with us, and we will join you with some more updates about what's going on. So thank you for whomever did tune in this morning. I hope you enjoyed the little tour of the ghost towns. This is the first one, and we plan to do another tour. If anybody wants this map, I can send it to you. So just DM me. It's right in there. Thank you again for everybody who did watch out. Please follow us, join us every weekday around 9:30. Justice and I are trying to do this. We'll see you tomorrow.